Me today. Nice, just kind of work stream. Got some things I need to do, and I just need to, as usual, just set up my chat window. Whoops. Let's have a little look here. Let's go like this. All right, so I'll just send a tweet, and get to it soon. Let's see what's going on here, though. Just want to see what my own stream page looks like if I'm not. Okay, cool. Cool. Someday soon, I hope. Fingers crossed. I can start growing this channel up a little bit, you know, getting some stuff that helps me keep things going. On that note, if you're tuned into this watching a VOD either on YouTube or on Twitch or anything like that, before I get the ball rolling, just want to share quickly ways that you could actually help grow this channel if you're interested in that sort of thing. If you like what you see, you can help me out. Simple ways are follow me on Twitch, subscribe on the YouTube channel, or follow me on Twitch. And a little bit of problem here, but put that aside for a second. And if you're so inclined, you can support me with a bit of money by doing there's a donation link on my Twitch page, and there's also a Patreon account that you could sign up for. You could do it pays up front, so you could sign up, get a month free on there. The incentive tiers and things like that are still mostly set up for people who just want to support what I'm doing already and understand the CAD work I'm doing, the programming and design stuff. If you want to be an early supporter and help me one-on-one with that sort of stuff, that would be an opportunity for you there. But no pressure, of course. It's just stuff that I would like to see happen as the channel grows, and you can be part of that. That's a bit of plug-in for me now, so I think I can just get right into it very shortly. I just realized my tweet didn't go through here, so I'm gonna do myself a little favor and fix that up. Let's have a look here. It's a little unimpressive. Well, whatever, that'll have to be fine the way it is for now. Here, just as a bit of context, what's going on is this here. Do I want to show this? No, I shouldn't really. You know, let me just do this. Okay, I'm gonna just assume that's all good. Checking my own chat. Everything is good and going. My tweet's not sending. Classic first world problem type deal. Well, I'm gonna assume that's fine. Let's close this off. Let's go like this. Shoot. Excuse me while I fumble around. Alright, didn't send. Let's do this one last time here. Oh, let's do that one instead. This is the boring pre-work stuff here. I'm just learning the ropes about, like the very basics of call it self-promotion, if you will. I never liked doing it, but you gotta talk about yourself, right? And get it out there. So I'm trying to revive my Twitter a little bit, and we'll see how all that goes. It's all experimental anyway. Nothing to really lose, so. Will it tweet? That is my question. Okay, looks like it worked this time. That's good news. Okay. All right, enough of this nonsense. Okay. So today, I said it briefly before, simple day again. I am going to continue working on the code that generates these kinds of diagrams. This sort of stuff. It's SVG based. And I've been working hard trying to get some things sorted out with grouping and properly transferring translations and rotations down into the children of different group elements, and it's kind of working. Ran into a glitch, as is, sometimes the deal, but this is all workable stuff. So I'm in the middle of kind of troubleshooting my latest little hitch here, and unfortunately this is something I don't know how to fix yet with it's a minor annoyance with org Babel stuff. It treats this as a link, and so if I try to click in there to edit it, happens here too. Anytime there's a double square bracket, inside the code block, it tries to execute and spits open a window that is just annoying. I don't like that it behaves that way, and I haven't figured out the solution yet, other than to I believe I can do this, and that might solve that. Yeah. Well, actually, it doesn't seem to. Oh, it does. Okay. So that's a bit of a solution. It's a bit of a hack, but it's also not relevant technically to what I'm attempting to do here. I believe the problem occurred in this step 3 diagram, so I'm commenting that out to try and rebuild this here. And there's a problem, compile warning. Undeclared var inside of where? Oh, probably, let's just get rid of the test here. That might have been part of the problem. Okay, so this is the currently active code here. So what I'm actually going to do, just try this. Okay, this compiles, but will it break when I try to display it? That's the question I have. Okay. It's not totally working, which is, it's not great, to be honest. Okay, so, whoops. All right, let's get this going. No method in multi-method path-to-path string for a dispatch value, an empty dispatch value. Okay, let's have a look at what's going on there. Let's try to figure that out. Oh, I hope this sun kind of stays behind a cloud or two here. It's a little bright in my eyes. Weird thing to complain about, I guess, but hey, that's the way it's going. Okay, let's see if I can at least get graphics back on the screen here. Gotta comment this out, I guess, eh? There it is. Yeah, so the problem arises when I try to do when I try to run code that rotates the group element, I think is what is happening. I think that's what's causing issues. So let's what I want to try to do is recreate that a little bit. So if I run this function blueberry step C, or piece C with the A color, it produces this structure. And if I rotate that by 0, let's just see if it faults out or if it returns a result. It does. So if I rotate it by 10 degrees, oh, it does indeed calculate new positions for all those points, so that's working okay. Now what I'd like to do is, if I just wrap this in a group tag here, okay, that's where the error comes into play. So it's an issue that pops up when I try to rotate a group element that contains paths. Because if I do it this way, yeah, okay, that's the difference between B and C is related. I have this function here, path polygon, that I am not using in here. I'm just using a regular rectangle function. So part of the issue is stemming from that. I'm also just trying to make it so that if I click these, it doesn't open up that new window. So it's looking okay. Okay. Oh boy. Oh, I guess it's not relevant right now. I'm keeping an eye on my phone. I might be getting some important phone calls at some point, and then I'll just mute this. It shouldn't be a long call, but it'll be necessary for me to take it anyway, so just keeping that in mind. Okay. Let's see what I can do, because I want to get this part sorted, this code clean. There's the sun again. Oh darn, the sun. Right, okay. What's going on? That's the question. That's the question I have. What's going on? The problem pops up when I get to this portion of this problem here. It seems as if this is a little messy. This is a little unclear what I'm doing. This is not related to the problem specifically. I'm gonna change how I write this though. Translate negative mx, negative my. It's a little cleaner there. Okay, so the problem. I think it's related to my midpoint calculation. Okay, so if I take B, B, C, A, let's def A as that snippet here, so I have that as a reference. Now let's do midpoint of A. There's oh right, that's not the namespace that it's in, SVG. Okay, so SVG midpoint is messing up when I group that shape already. So what's the deal? Let's have a look here. It looks like it's I'm not sure. This string here is well formed for the type of function that it, like I checked that earlier already, that these strings are okay. But I'm getting a bad dispatch. Okay, so for child in the content here, so I'm running into an issue where it's rotating. Well, wait 1 second here. Okay, so this is failing presumably at, so the first child of this group, of this content here, if I destructure this down by 1 level, the first child of this is already a group element. So midpoint of child goes up here and runs the midpoint function, which ends up running midpoint element on a group element. So something's wrong here. Okay, so this just says to a G tag, hey, run the midpoint calculation on all of the content that it contains. So theoretically, since that content is another G tag, it should kind of recurse through itself once and end up back here with the content here. So if I just lazily copy this and Where am I at here? It's a line. Uh-oh. Confused myself. Oh. Let's just do the first path here. This is just... Oh man, there's a bunch of paths, which is fine. Okay, this path. If I run SVG midpoint over this, it should work. Okay, it does. But if I run midpoint on let's do SVG slash midpoint on get in A, and we'll kind of go through the structure here. It's 0, 1, 2, 2, okay, so theoretically that works. Oh, not quite. Oh, I see. So I need to do something like this. Get in a... I have to do this. Get a 2. Yeah. And then drop 2 from this. I'm just manually destructuring this a little bit to get the list of path elements. And now here, if I run SVG slash midpoint on this list of points, it gives me a... so the structure of this midpoint is not correct. So I have a nested list of different points. So if I map cat that, does that work? Oops. Not quite. This is So here, what I thought would happen here with this midpoint calculation is that it would correctly, that midpoint of content would always return a flat, a single, for any given child, it would return just 1 point. And so running midpoint on content would map over any children and give just a flat list of points, which is what midpoint from the Forge library does expect. So the issue here is I'm getting a malformed list, which is no good. I mean, what I could do is cheese it for a minute. So if I partition to this result, I get all of the and then I do map v into vector this whole thing. Okay, let's cheese it that way for the time being, but I'm not convinced that that's a good solution. So, but we'll give it a shot for now. Okay, so let me just go ahead and copy this and paste it in here and see if I can get that to alleviate this particular issue. And if I can, then maybe I'll rework this into a viable, real solution. So instead of this drop to, get to nonsense here, I actually can just do map cat midpoint over the list of content. That should work. Let's see. We'll see soon enough. So I just have to kind of force it to reload this particular code. Not a big deal. Just got to make some little adjustments here. Of course. Changed my code and forgot to change that particular point. So that's just here. Nice and simple. Refresh this. Change it. Oh, so something changed, but it broke something else. Well, let's just explore how things go. What I'd like to see is this just work. Still nothing. Let's inspect this. Where'd my, gotta go here, console. Is it the same problem? Yeah. Okay, well, let's go have a look at least to see if, whoop. Oh, A got overwritten. I guess when I refresh the browser is actually where this REPL is running, so it resets the REPL context here and loses, I guess it like resets it completely and just I lose that context entirely, I suppose. Well, that's okay. I mean, not the most desirable thing, but I make it work. Not a big deal. Let's go here, have a look. Oh, all right. One little bit at a time, one little bit at a time. That's still not correct. Okay. What if I do this? Oh, that's not what I meant. Just map. Okay, now. Ah, okay. Let's back this thing up a little bit. Let's go over here and just change this. Let's get rid of that. And we'll do run midpoint on map V of, or just map of midpoint over the content. Doing that seems like it might work because it should, if I f/midpoint this, it should give just a single point out as a result. Okay, so that should form this midpoint correctly, I think. And then from there I can build the rest of this logic out. Let's see what happens. Slow going sometimes. It's not perfect, but do what I gotta do. Okay, we have visual. Hey, it didn't break, which is a sign. Well, unless I refresh this, and maybe it doesn't. It's still broken. Okay, let's have a look again. Let's do BB. Oops, what did I do? Not at all what I meant. I meant to go here and do step 3, nil. Huh. Well, okay then. It just errors out directly. Same problem. Okay. Well, let's have a look at the next sort of thing. Let's redef A one more time as this thing. And let's try to run svg/midpoint on A directly. Okay, now we're getting a valid, it's not erroring out at the midpoint stage. So that's maybe better. That might not actually solve the problem, or it might cause other problems, but for now it's not giving an error, which is a step in the right direction. This probably will still break if I do rotate 0. Yeah, it's still in the rotate approach here. So if I just totally break this by having it not actually rotate, let's see if the translate stuff still, let's see what happens. Okay, so I intentionally broke it in the sense that, okay, let's refresh this, we can load the new code in. So here, right, it's translating bits around, but it's not twisting them at all, so these are all rendering incorrectly but for the time being, that's what I want to see, just to see if the issue is arising, in fact, on that rotate part there, or if it's somewhere else. So it's somewhere else, I'm guessing. Huh. No? Let's try to load this one more time. Huh. I super thought that would fix it at this point. Well, really? Okay. It wouldn't be something silly like that, would it? It's a little ooh, weird. Okay. Something's going a little loopy here. Alright, let's have a look at this. Make that normal there again. Change that to that. Refresh that. Hide this. Refresh this. Okay, these are now rendering correctly, so let's show this and see what happened. Ooh, we're close, but not there yet. That's really strange looking. Is that, might be rounding errors. Let's have a look. Let's also change that. It's not perfect yet. Okay, I'm gonna be right back and think about this in a minute. Okay. I'm a little bit frustrated with this today. It's silly. It's silly. There's something not correct about my approach here. I just can't think through it at the moment. Oh, hey, Mike. I'm okay today. How are you? I'll admit I'm a little frustrated with what I'm trying to get going here. Just trying to think through how to approach. Well, so basically, I have an SVG wrapper library that I set up in a way that I thought was pretty effective, where every element, if you apply a rotate, it rotates it in its local coordinate. And that works okay, except for group elements where it rotates globally. So I'm trying to change the group rotation semantics to match, or semantics is the wrong word, behavior to match. And I'm almost there, but I keep messing something up and I'm not tracking with exactly what's going wrong. So I'm kind of slowly chipping away at it. I just wish it would be a little smoother because I have to be working on some stuff. But that's okay. It's just, got to take it calmly and one bit at a time and I'll get there. I'm working on so I don't know if you've ever seen this. I make these quilt pattern things for my mom. She quilts and designs patterns and then sells them. Doing all right? Oh, glad to hear you're doing okay. Sorry I missed the stream, had to buckle down a bit. Oh, no problem. Never have to feel sorry about missing a stream. That's the way it goes. We're all humans doing our busyness here and there, right? What was I saying? Oh yeah. So I use my SVG library to make these design documents that my mom then sells as PDFs on her quilt design website. I'm extremely proud of the quality of these diagrams. I think they look fantastic. Like this, I just think looks really nice. There's even this particular pattern. If you print it on 8.5 by 11, this prints to scale. You can double check it with this 1-inch scale, and then you cut these pieces out of your paper, put it on the fabric and trace it, and then you just cut the shapes out of the fabric and boom, you've got all the fabric pieces that you can sew together to make your quilt. So these documents, the long-term goal is to have these diagrams much easier to produce in a sort of semi-automatic flow so that I don't have to manually make the patterns nearly as much. Basically, I want to make some kind of document layout tool that the quilt designer can use, and I could somehow turn that into a bit of a business model of some kind, either pay per pattern or pay a monthly access fee to use the software, but anything you produce from it is yours. Who knows? I don't know yet, and I'm working with my mom on this, so it's a nice very low risk, very easy prototyping environment. But today I'm working on another version of this, and I'm trying to bring the code up to speed with my current changes on my SVG thing. And it's just it's my own hasty decisions from the past catching up with me now, and that is a little bit tiring, you know? But that's the way it goes. I like all of this design stuff I'm doing is still like in flux, so it's to be expected to some degree. Anyway, blah blah blah. I'm trying to work out some kinks and bugs related to applying transformations to groups of SVG items. So here, my current issue is this is not right. Yeah, refactoring is a bit painful, but very rewarding, I find. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that I'll feel really good when this is done, and done in a nice, clean way. But it's like I have no one but myself to blame, and I'm a little like frustrated. It's like, why did I do this, or why didn't I do that? You know, it's just like, ugh, silly. But now's the time to work through it. So that's part of the deal. And it's worth it, I think, because I do really think these look nice. They're just clean. They look cool. I'm happy with that. So, you know, at least there's a nice outcome. At least there's a nice outcome. One thing I'm doing differently now is this is technically it's a React app that has hot code reloading. So when I make a change here, save the code here, it refreshes the page right away. So you see that? That's the change happening right there. And that happens even with diagram changes, right? So this here, if I change the color reference there. These A, B, C, D are just some predefined CSS classes that reference colors. The reason it's like that is theoretically you can use some of the same base diagrams, but for a different quilt you have different colors, so you just pass in a different style sheet. That mechanism haven't worked all the kinks out of yet either, but it's a start. But this is goofy right here. This is not correct yet, and I think I'm going to test out a little assumption here. If I go into the rotate element for this group tag in this method, no, sorry, pardon me, that's the wrong spot. That's actually, I think that's actually okay. These particular shapes are custom paths, or I should say they're path elements. So you give it a list of points and it draws the polygon. So I actually want to, I think the problem is arising with my path rotation here, because I've fiddled around with this before. If I change this to be rotate about 0, 0, I want to double check. I want to check my sanity to see if that fixes my render problem here. Oh yeah, I also, so this workflow is not totally perfect, because if I change code in a library that is imported, I have to kind of manually refresh the page. Okay, there we go. So that the group is working correctly now. So that might be good enough for what I need for the time being. Now I have to double check something here. I want to this I think will break it. If I refresh this, I think it won't work. Yeah, okay. So if I undo that, so that there is not good. I don't want things to mess up when, right, like the rotate and translate, they should both work regardless of which order you're doing those in. Now, they might not result in the same shape, but they should work. They shouldn't error out like that. So there's still a problem there. There's also the other problem of this just being totally wacky at 90-degree angle positions. So those are some problems I'm having. Yeah, the shape goes a little wild. So it's like if I make it, oh no. If I make it basically 90 by adding just a tiny bit there, it works for all cases, which is totally a cheat, right? I don't want to do that. But I'm a little confused that it goes through a bit of different functionality, and it uses this setup here to calculate a point's new position, and this doesn't go out of control. Nothing's making sense to me right now is basically the gist of things. Yeah. So what here, you know what, I actually am gonna I'm gonna do myself just a little bit of a favor here and split out just a test space, scratch. I'm gonna use this as sort of a canvas here, and just chip away at this in little small pieces. That's a better way to do this instead of trying to fix it while I'm working on a real thing. Just get a smaller case that breaks and then try to fix it. I think that's a more reasonable way to go about it. And at least it might keep me a little bit more sane. Scratch. Okay, this, let's just do this as 500, 500. Oop. Let's scale it just to 10 because it doesn't matter. I don't need text. And when I assemble the dock, I'm just gonna render can I fix this? Maybe. Little self-encouragement there. And scratch here. And that should render, well, currently nothing, but oop, well that was silly. Okay. Okay, there we go. You've got a canvas on which to recreate all of my problems. Maybe just some print statements in a REPL to do some debugging. I try to do both. Since what I'm working on is so visual in nature, right? Like it's all about drawing shapes. If I just have, and I do plenty of this anyway, but if I'm just looking at, take for example, if I draw manually the shape, well actually let me do this here for a minute. I'm gonna just make a quick shape in here. I'm gonna make it SVG slash drawing a blank as to what I actually called the function. Path polygon, that's what I'm looking for. Right, so I'm going to draw myself a triangle. And you've probably seen me do this before if you've watched my stream a bit. Oops. Basically, I'm drawing, like I'm drawing things in my head on some kind of grid, right? And that works for small shapes and whatnot, kinda, but it gets hard to reason about and follow later on. So SVG slash translate that. What am I even saying? Oh yeah, let me finish this out. I'll evaluate it to the REPL and show you what I mean by it being just a little bit confusing to follow, and that will very quickly make it obvious why it's also useful to have the ability to draw it onto the canvas. It's nice to have both, really, I guess, is the moral of this story. So I'm going to translate it to the middle. I think this will work if I scale it by 10. That seems to make sense. I also want to SVG slash style the element with fill, hot pink, why not, and stroke black, because that's fine. I'm not even saying like sentences that make sense right now. I'm just kind of spitballing. Okay, so the last thing to do is draw this triangle like I'm talking about. So I'm going to draw it from 0, 0 to 10, 0 and 10, 10. A triangle is pretty easy to figure out, right? But you can see pretty quickly how if I scratch, right, this mess of stuff here is what will be rendered on there. So it's a little hard to follow, right? And if I look here, this path element here is the triangle I drew here, right? So, you know, you kind of have to know what to look for. The other thing is I bake in the translation into the shape directly. So you need to know that when you translate this shape by 25, you have to, in your head, add 25 to 0, 25 to 10 to get 35, which is right here, right? So I know how it works, so I can kind of reason about it, but it's definitely nice to have it visually represented. So hopefully this doesn't break. There we go. We've got a triangle right on screen. And now I can do stuff like I can adjust the translate. I can see it working. Boom, that's quite nice. And now, since this is a little tangent here, this thread last macro or thread first macro is beautiful. I really love it. It lets me basically say, like, you can read all of these statements now like this. Take this shape, right? This, whatever shape you give it, and as long as all the operations you do on it have a valid implementation, just basically you read it as, hey, for this shape I want you to first translate it this way, then do new transform, right? And then you do another thing, and then you can chain all kinds of transformations together, and the single thing runs through the whole thing. And it's nice and easy to debug. You can just comment out different parts of the pipeline. It's really quite nice. I like it a lot. I'm not sure if it's immediately clear, but if I were to write this out not in the thread last macro way, I'll just take the translate as the example. I would have to write it like this. Translate 2525 svg slash path polygon, and then the path, not shown for brevity's sake. And then if I wanted to style the element, I would have to do that outside here. Style, element, the style, and then the thing here. So it ends up being like, it's not bad to do it this way either. It's just, you end up with this really nested approach, and it's a little less intuitive, that's all. So the ergonomics of using this macro are really nice, in my opinion. I quite like it. But these are actually functionally equivalent. Like, the result is identical. Assuming I put in the right data, of course. But anyway, little tangent about how much I love the thread macros. Okay. What is the moral of this story? Let's try. Here I can start debugging with a rotate. And that correctly has no effect. Okay, so this is a problem for me. So I have this rotate here. If I translate it 0, 0, rotate it 10, and then translate it, I don't need the first translate, it's pointless at this point. But this, yes. Okay, so this is the problem. What I want is the situation like this. I'm gonna make another example of a rectangle. And here, let's see if that'll draw. There we go. Ooh, it's maybe a little too big. Let's do 5, 10. Yep. Let's make it honeydew. Perfect. Cyan and hot pink. Really cyberpunk. Okay. What am I saying? So this here, if I change this rotation and save it, the rectangle doesn't move. This rotate occurs about the rectangle's own center, which is what I want, because I can then nicely translate and rotate sort of independently, if that makes sense. See, changing the order makes no difference to the position of this. But the way I've implemented the path, that is not how it works. So let's get back to this situation here. What I want is to be able to do exactly the same thing with this rectangle and this triangle. I want to be able to translate and rotate the shape, but that's not what's happening, right? Well, I mean, I can rotate it, but it rotates about the global 0, 0 point. That's why, right, you can see it. If you imagine the rotation point of this is fixed at the corner here, it's pivoting around there. What I want instead is it to turn about its own center, which would be, I mean, by weighted center it would be here, but I want it by the bounding box center for simplicity there. Yeah, rotate is something I've defined myself, so I can fix it. I'm just lost as to why it's not working the way I want. So that's what I'm in the process of figuring out. The additional little wrinkle here is that more often than not, what I actually have is this situation where this rectangle, for example, I want to make a group shape that is something along these lines. This is gonna be a little messy, but it will work okay. Oh no, this will be fine. So this here, this group shape, there. So it moved, and that makes sense. So this is also a problem for some reason. Let's go. One day in the future, when I'm much more confident with all this stuff, it'll be really cool to have things where like I could write code, live reload it, do stuff in the REPL, and interact with this stuff and like click and drag and move it interactively, like directly. I think that would be really neat, and I'm sure it's possible. I'm sure it's non-trivial. And I'm sure I'll get there one day, but that's not today. But man, that would be really cool. Okay. So clearly I need to work on a few things here. So the same thing is happening. And I thought I had fixed that. Right, so basically, I hope that makes sense. The act of rotating a singular element rotates that element about its own center point. Currently, and incorrectly, when you group elements together, that behavior changes. What I want is this to rotate about, even as a group, I want it to rotate about the group's collective center point. And that's the problem I'm facing. I thought, earlier I was messing around with this and I thought I had that on lock, but I've messed something up. So that's a bit of a bummer. But okay, now I've got a basis of the issue, and I can kind of work toward solving it. You know what? It might be this thing again. I bet now if I rotate it first and then translate it, that makes sense, right? Like that's what we would expect anyway. Basically, right? If I apply the rotation and then, oh seriously? All right, enough of that. Sorry, gotta ban this bot here. I'm waiting. Sorry. Things come to an abrupt halt for a moment. Come on. My chat disconnected on, I have my iPad up with chat. And normally that, let's do this. let's also report this. Apologies. It's the order of business at the moment. Also reported. Yeah, so I've done that. Thanks, by the way, Mike. I appreciate that. Spam or bot account. I did that with a bot account probably last week sometime, and on my little history feed, it turned into an unknown user. So if you report it, it clearly, they are able to purge bot accounts and stuff like that. Oh man. Accidentally muted myself there. There's no such thing as a free lunch. I guess, eh? There's always a little something that could go wrong. Anyway, thanks for your patience there, and thanks for reporting that. That's helpful. Okay. All right, perfect. Okay. Oh, Mike and any other viewers, just a brief heads up. I do have a phone call that I need to take at some point. I don't know when it's going to happen, so there might be a brief 5 to 10 minutes where I'm on the call. If it happens while the stream is going on, I'm gonna just mute myself and whatnot, but the stream will continue after that. If it happens after I'm done the stream anyway, well then it's a non-issue, but that might come up a little bit, that's all. You know, my life does exist beyond beyond the screen, so sometimes I gotta just take care of stuff. I hope that's okay. Alright, so I've established that there's this order dependence thing with the rotate and translate, which is not quite what I want to happen, because it breaks the, if you're using the library to work on shapes independently, it breaks the idea when you group it, right? Like you would kind of expect the group to behave as if it were just any other shape. So I have to fix that. And boy oh boy, let's start with the easy case. Here's what I'm gonna do. Give myself 2 copies of this shape. I'm gonna have one with the order this way, and this one I'm gonna have with this order, and I'm gonna make this lime green. No, lime green kind of implies that it's fine. Let's do red. This is not fine. Okay, so oops, that's not the thing I meant to change. There we go. Okay, so these are both rotated the same number of degrees. This particular problem is solved when the red is in the same position as the cyan, in which case you won't see the cyan at all. They'll be directly overlapped. And SVG works, it draws from, like it paints the objects in the order from top to bottom. So if you draw a circle and then you draw a bigger circle directly over it, if you declare it later on in the SVG, the circle is drawn directly over top the other one. I think it's the same as if like the HTML DOM works the same way, I think, by default. Anyway, unimportant. What's important is I try to fix things. Okay. So, the idea Oh, I missed a message. You said not a problem. I'm assuming that's in relation to the phone call thing, so thank you for that. Appreciated. Okay. Man, it's like, can't someone else fix this? And then it's like, well, no, of course not. This is my work. I have to fix this. My brain's just in a bad mood today. You know what? That'll go away once I, roll up the sleeves and get at it. Okay, so the rotate transforms are where I need to have a look. So when it comes to the rectangles, they work as I want them to, independently when it's just the rectangle itself. And that maybe is a good example of how to do it. So rotate element rectangle here works by calculating the midpoint of the particular element and then creating the transform map, which is here. Yeah, so that makes reasonable sense. Let's make an example here. So a SVG rectangle 1020 has this structure to it. It's a rectangle, that's the key here. And then the properties are width, height, 1020, and X and Y are the corner start position of the rectangle, -5, -10. So my implementation calculates X and Y such that the center of the rectangle is drawn at the 0, 0 position, which makes sense, right? If the width is 10 and you want it to center around 0, 0, you have to subtract half the width, subtract half the height for that starting corner. Very simple. Now if I rotate that, rotating by 0, a thing that is at the 0, 0 point, all it should do is add a a transform key to this map with rotate 0, 0, 0, which is what happens here, which is nice. So now let's do this SVG slash rectangle 1020 SVG slash rotate 0 SVG slash translate 10, no, let's translate it 30, 30, which I have to put in a vector. Okay, so this is what, so when I rotate it first and then translate it, the width and height stay the same, which makes total sense because that is constant with the rectangle here. I haven't scaled it or anything, so that just makes sense. Rotate 0 means rotate 0 exists here. Translate 30, 30 changes where the X and Y corner begins and changes the rotate at position. So if I rotate 10, the only difference is the 10 here. This is still 30, 30. If I change the translate to 20, 20, the X and Y change, as does the position here. So that makes sense to me. Now what I'd like to check is that this is equivalent to this. quick inspection here says it is. So that's what I expect. That makes sense to me. Okay, now let's take the same approach with the, well, let's have a look at this. Let's start by doing this. svg/group svg/rectangle 10 20. Okay, so the rectangle is just like I would expect, and the group has no properties applied, and things are normal. So I'm going to apply this sort of test here with 0. All I'm going to change is that I wrap this in a group. Visually it should be identical, but I think it'll be different. Okay, so in this case, see this? It applies, oh, interesting, there's a problem here. So one thing that's correct is it is correctly applying the rotate and translate to the rectangle directly. What's broken right now is it broke the nested vector structure. See this? In this case, I have a group with an empty map, so it's a vector that has the key, which is group in this case, the properties map, which is empty in this case, and then any number, like a list of vectors or any number of vectors that are the children of the group tag. That's the correct structure. This is not correct. There's not a nested vector there. So something broke, or something's not right with the grouping here. So I'm not sure where that arises. Well, so I know it's not in the group function, because that's extremely simple. It just wraps whatever you pass in, right? If I pass in an empty string, it just puts the empty string into the structure. If I put an empty vector, same thing. So it's not there. It is, I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay, so see what I mean? How, so you were right that, you know, printing stuff into the REPL is important, right? Because you can see the data itself and if it's structured correctly. But just as nicely, I can visually intuit some problems that are happening by changing around the parameters here. I just think that's a really cool way to work on this kind of stuff. Maybe, you know, it's just like how my brain works, in the sense that I like to draw visuals and stuff a lot. But I just love the dual approach here. Powerful in my mind. Okay, back to this broken approach. So here's a nice, like I was saying, a nice easy way to check things. Okay, so translate seems to break it. Rotate does not. So that's actually interesting. Maybe rotate isn't so much an issue, but some combination of translate and rotate might be. In fact, I wonder if that is why the order matters. Let's have a look here. Oop. Hey, there we go. That's broken. Oh yeah, no, that's okay. Okay, that it makes sense. Okay, so that makes sense as to why. Okay. I'm starting to piece things together. Since translate breaks the structure of the data, and then you try to pass it into rotate. Rotate is complaining that there's no implementation for some weird invalid data. I've been poking around in the rotate implementations trying to figure out why that was going wrong. Maybe the whole time I had to actually be looking at the translate. Well, maybe it's easier than I thought. Let's find out. Well, so here, let's have a look at that and compare it to this rotate group. So this into kprops content, what I'm doing here is reducing the level of nesting by 1, and I'm pretty sure I was intending to do the same with this, but I would have to do it this way: map partial translate xy over content. Maybe that'll work. Maybe that'll work. Let's see. Okay, so now, again, like I said, not a perfect workflow because I have to still manually reload when I change an external library's code to force the reload to load the new code in, but it's relatively quick and I can just make trivial changes and refresh a few times. Okay, so that didn't solve the problem, it would seem. However, I wonder if this now doesn't break. Okay, so this is a big step in the right direction. I no longer have the rotate and translate order problem because the translate function is no longer breaking this structure, which is a huge win so far. Okay, so let's sanity check that for a moment. How do I sanity check that? Well, okay, so this isn't... Well, maybe I'm not totally on the right track because I'm a little confused at the moment, but that was still a good fix. Because that would cause issues elsewhere, even if it doesn't solve this particular issue, at least not directly. So transformation order no longer seems to break things. In fact, let me test that out again for a second. Let's bring this happy triangle back in here. Okay, great. I'm no longer getting outright errors, which is a win, because before when I swap rotate and translate around, I was in fact getting just errors, and that's solved. So that's one win. Oops, let's get back there. All right, I'll take it. A little victory. A little victory. I will be back. I'm gonna go to the washroom. I keep forgetting to, I have the animation, I just keep forgetting to put it on my stream computer, and I just have to do it. Maybe tonight I can actually get that done, or Wednesday, but be back in just a minute. Okay, back into the action. The colors I picked are so kindergarten. It looks like I'm playing with like construction paper or something. Nothing wrong with a simple aesthetic. Okay. Next thing to tackle. If you aren't using pretty colors, you aren't doing visualizations right, in my opinion. Well, I feel like I'm not living up to that. I don't know about you, but one of my favorite themes is Nord theme. It's what it's what a lot of my stream stuff pulls from. It's a nice palette. I'm not using these colors right now in my debugging or whatever, but there you go. Kind of a muted pastel palette. Problem is, I haven't memorized the hex code values of these colors, which I think is a reasonable thing. I don't think it's a problem that I didn't memorize it, but I can't just, it's just easier usually to just type a color name, While I'm here though, let's change it up. Oh, that didn't work. There we go. Let's do this. Hot pink. It's just gonna have to be purple, I guess. Whoops. Actually, I'm not sure what the licensing rules are for color palettes. I think more often than not they're okay to use, but I'm not 100% on that actually. The other thing that I wonder, maybe I could get this to work in Emacs, but I can't visualize this color in my mind immediately. Well, it's a little more muted, but yeah, it looks okay. Well, that was a total tangent, but I'm okay with that. Yeah, the problem with pretty colors is that's a very subjective statement too, right? Although, I don't know, for some reason there is a huge consensus on like the coolest looking themes in a lot of UI and stuff like that, but I'm not a color guy, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you need to go on a tangent to reset the old gray matter. You're not wrong. My friend, you're not wrong. Okay, so I fixed the problem where the translate rotate order would literally break things by bringing an error up. Now it's not broken, it's just not behaving the way I want it to. That's what's happening, right? The goal is still to get this group to align exactly with this one here. And just to sanity check, yes, it's still true that this is rotating about its own center point. At least it appears to. Yes, it is. Okay. Let me think. Let's go and print a few things in the REPL then again. Let's get back to this. Okay. rotate 20. Okay, these are very different. The reason is what? Okay, in the case of when I translate the thing first, if I do svg/rotate point by 20 degrees and the point is 2020, will this give me 11.95 and 25.63? It does. Okay, so some of my prior logic is not behaving correctly anymore. Okay. I'm going to take these translates out entirely and just rotate everything independently and see if that makes sense. I think that won't work, but I will build another test case in a moment to figure that one out. So let's do the refresh game. Oops, not at all what I wanted to do. I still want to yell. Okay, so that is almost correct. In fact, it might be correct, but I do need to test something. And what I need to test is the situation where the second some of the group elements are translated locally inside the group itself. That's what I need to figure out. The translates I've built into this might also just be wrong, so that's another possibility. But I think, let me just confirm this. If I translate by 5, 5, this one of these rectangles, yes, see, so they're not, it's not correct yet. Let me move this out of the way to illustrate what's going on. Right, so this red shape here now is exhibiting weird behavior because, wait a second, oh, let me step myself back a minute. I didn't change things properly. I'm getting ahead of myself now. Okay, this I need to paste this here. Oh, what did I do? I may have, what did I do? Oh. There we go. Oh, maybe I spoke too soon. Oh no, I did not speak too soon. That is not correct behavior. See that? Those are supposed to be, they're supposed to look like that. And in fact, in both cases, it's wrong now. So it's not a solved problem yet. So now what's happening is, without these translate things, without these translation moves, the shape is not properly maintained in the group. So if I go back to this, what I expect is the shape to be correct, but the red position to be wrong again. So that is something I have to think through. That's what I expect to happen. I've got to get back to it. What changed? Oh, yes, here. Yeah, okay, so correct shape, incorrect position of the red one. Okay, so we're back to this problem. Okay, the reason this happens is oh, no. Yes? Okay, so I think I need to do one other thing, which is get the midpoint of the whole shape before it's rotated. Like this. And then run this transform, which is this list of content, and just I have to check this for a second. If I translate, can I translate multiple things just in a normal list? I think I can. Circle to SVG, rectangle to 1E, 1, 2. Yes, I can. Pardon me. Translate that whole shape back to its original midpoint M. Maybe that's all I need to do here. Maybe that's it. We'll find out. Mid-pint. I could go for a mid-pint. I don't know what that is. It's nothing. I'm losing my mind. All right. Oh, is it broken? it might be broken. Interesting. Maybe I have to do this. Map partial translate M over all the content. Let's give that one a shot. Broken. Let's get a oh, there's literally nothing being rendered. That's not what I meant to do. Let's come on, show me something. What did I break? Did something actually go very wrong? Okay, midpoint, K-props content. I've lost this. What's going on here? Oh, maybe this doesn't work without something being... What am I doing? Let's get rid of the rotates and just do the translates. Maybe that'll work. I don't know what happened. This got way more broken than I thought. Maybe there's something in the console here. Well, there's definitely warnings. Do I have this problem again? What did I do? Okay, well, what's happening here? Oh, it might be... Okay. I've broken implementations again. Translate's fine. Rotate, this will break. No, it didn't break. Peculiar. Or confusing, I should say. So what I just did here, this code here is referencing some of the functions that are breaking it, and it's not rendering it, but it's trying to evaluate it still, so it's still spitting out those errors. So I just removed it from the source for a minute. Tangle, it just is like on save this code block into this file. So if I just break the tangle syntax, it takes the code out of the source file without removing any of the code from this file. Kind of a nice thing sometimes. So if I put this back, it'll break again. No? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it did break. And if I get rid of it, there we go. Okay. I kind of know what I'm talking about sometimes. Once in a while. The tangle feature seems handy to have. Yeah, so my current workflow with this is bare bones. It's not as powerful as it absolutely could be. But yes, it's like once I kick myself into gear and get a little more document disciplined and all that, what I really do love is this is org mode, right? So I can like hiding and showing sections, quickly splitting different sections here with new code blocks, right? Namespace, ASDF, blah, 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 right? And you can evaluate that into your REPL, and you can make sure it doesn't get saved into the main. It could be alt.cljs, and now it's a new file, right? Like you can, all in one context, you could control the structure of your whole program. And theoretically what I like is this is just normal text that you can use to write your reasoning out. In theory, you can always tangle to source files and export everything into a docs, HTML, PDF, etc. Right? So the whole workflow is not only Tangle. Tangle's not the only thing that's useful. Writing the notes about what you're doing in the main document itself is really powerful. Since this project still has a lot of, like, since all of my work is kind of evolving in different paths simultaneously, things are messier than I want them to be, but the bones of a really nice project organizational approach are there. The Tangle feature is just one thing that's really quite nice to have to control what code goes where. I do love it. The general term for this, you might know, literate programming. I think it was Knuth or Knuth. Donald, I don't know how you say his last name. Is it Knuth or Knuth? Anyway, it's an old, well, relatively oldish concept for writing programs. Here, literate programming provides higher quality programs since it forces programmers to explicitly state the thoughts behind the program, making poorly thought out design decisions more obvious. And when I'm being a good dev, this is true. The weakness in this approach is the same weakness in any approach, is that you have to exhibit some discipline up front to maintain the quality of things. And that's where I feel I could be better at, even for myself. But yet another tangent. I do love this. The structure of this approach is, I think, really fun and really cool as well. So yeah, the Tangle feature in particular is really helpful for these kinds of situations. Okay. Scratch. Oops. I've done it before. I've configured a certain export functionality with my Emacs org files that actually embeds well, it doesn't embed it. It links a script to this clips REPL. Actually, there's maybe yeah, this, and I'm not completely happy with how this went, but it's really neat because it did let me produce web pages from a single org file that exhibit the code running in the browser. Some of the problems arise with Clojure script incompatibilities here and there, and if you're running an entire library in your browser, it can slow down a little bit, but no, I don't want to view the code. Let's see if there's an example page for a second. Actually, I have my own, I think. Ooh. Yeah. This web page was derived from an org file and has runnable code here. Let's see if I could get it work. Oh wait, did something go wrong here? Oh no, that's part of the doc. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Right, so this is an output example of an org file that I wrote that was using this whole workflow. And it produced a literate program in a loose sort of sense that you can read my approach and my source code all in one spot. I thought it was cool. And it produces a it produces an output here. I mean, it's a trivial little program, but it was fun. Ta-da! 200. Boom. Okay, enough of that. I'm distracting myself a lot today. That's what happens when I'm a little bit unmotivated to solve a problem. It's not an excuse, it's just the unfortunate reality. There's still some time for me to sort this one out, though. It is not a lost cause. Okay, what I'd like to do now is have a look at why this is going wrong again. Okay. Doesn't make sense to me. Commented out the wrong thing. Okay, so these are equivalent currently because there's no rotate happening. Okay. Well, let's have a look here. Oh. Okay. Okay, so the rotate okay, so there's These are just two rectangles, right? Yeah. Okay, that's normal. So it does automatically place that in there. That's fine. Okay. Oops. Okay. Okay. Alright, let's see what output this has. Oh, we've got not a numbers all over the place. That is bad. Okay. But yeah, nons are evil. I'm shocked by seeing those, because I'm pretty sure that you'll actually just get an error in Clojure, but I'm actually running this code in Clojure script right now. So it's actually just JavaScript. The way this code is designed, it does 100% work if you're running it on the JVM as well. I think this would exhibit slightly different error behavior. I think it would be a little more picky in that regard. But actually, I don't know that 100%. But yeah, not a number is not a good thing. I forget what happens in Clojure, or if I don't know. I can't recall if in Java if there is an equivalent construct or concept. There probably is. I don't know. Okay, but that's a good thing in the sense that it points me in the direction of the rotate thing being a little bit off base still. Okay, so I would imagine does it happen if there's only well, there is only one. Wait a second, what did I do here? Oh yeah, no, never mind. If I have it just be a single rectangle inside a group, does it still... it worked then. It worked then. Okay. It's... Java will freak out an error if you try to divide by 0. Yeah, okay. So that's the thing. I'm a little bit used to things failing more loudly, if you will, on Clojure. I mean, it either way, it's a problem. Like, I have to fix it either way. It behaves a little bit differently. Okay, so this just doesn't work when I have a group of things in a group tag, which is ironic because that's the whole purpose. Right, so this now will choke. Okay. It looks like... Well, wait a second. If I get rid of the rotate, no issues. Okay, so it's definitely in the rotate implementation. and it's only showing up when I have a list of things, not when I have just the one thing. Okay. Oh, maybe I have to just do this here. This feels like just a structuring problem that I've been running into a little bit because I'm not being perhaps as careful as I need to be. Let's try that one out. Okay. Let's give it a go. What did I just do? Oops. All over the map. Okay, let's try to get this code working in there. Moment of truth. Okay. Positive. Less positive. Where did that go? Oh no! It went flying. Even a rotate 0 messes that one up. Okay, so looks like we might be back to mostly working, but not quite. So this is not full of not a number of problems, which is good. This one, let's see. Interesting. It works, but it's not right. It's gone. Okay, let's have a little peek here. So this one, the cyan one, or the bluish one, versus this one. What's going on here? Oh man, this is hard on the brain at the moment, but that's okay. I'm just looking at numbers, and I'm a little too lazy to do things in a different way. Okay, so clearly in this case, the working, or the case where it's visible, which I should save here, where it's blue right here, that's this set of things, and the midpoint I know is 40.48 and 18.9, but here for some reason the midpoint is 69.95 and 40.27, so there's a flaw in the midpoint calculation here, and I think it would be worth taking the time to start writing test cases. Might help you making sure the different components work as intended. Yeah, Mike, you're absolutely right. It 100% is worth it, and that's one of the things I've been putting off. So I'll explain my reasoning initially, and I'll explain why you're more and more correct as the days go by that it's time for test cases. So my initial reasoning was, well, twofold. One, I didn't quite know the best way to write tests in general. It was still a newish concept for me, so I was a little bit afraid to do a lot of work and do it wrong. A weak excuse, but it was part of my reasoning. The other thing, which I think is more reasonable, is a lot of this stuff was very much still in the air. The implementation method, the architecture of how I was breaking out the libraries and all of that stuff was still completely up in the air. I had some general ideas I wanted to go for, but I didn't know how I was going to lay it all out. Now, things are clearer and clearer about the separation of different libraries and the intended use of my various sort of library silos, if you want to call it that. So now, at this point, knowing a little bit more than I knew before, it is more and more obvious that test cases would be a wise thing to do. So it's about time I just up my professionalism, write those tests, write those docs, get this stuff going. I will not be comfortable releasing this as a 1.0 library until I have tests and good documentation that I consider to be part of a complete implementation. So I'm not shirking that. I just was wary about doing all that work up front. But you raise a very good point. I'm doing all this stuff manually right now, and yeah, the logic of this stuff, talking about literate programming, it also makes sense to capture the intended outputs into a test that can be automated. So I'm not making excuses. The truth is I've been putting it off for some not so good reasons and some okay reasons, and I'm getting close to having to do it. I'm not going to do it today because, it's sun's starting to go down a little bit, and I do need to get this next design PDF out soon. So I'm going to have to put that one in the tech debt pile, but I have to start paying it back. And I think if I don't get to it this week, I think next week it might be a really good thing to actually stream some of the unit testing approach. That might be cool. That's fair. If you want help writing test cases, I can probably write some to help out, since a lot of it is kind of mindless. Well, that's really kind, Mike. You know what? I'm going to say, as of literally right now, no thanks. And the reason is only because I'm a little bit scared that the logic, quote unquote, of the library is not immediately clear yet. So I'm going to be pushing these changes to the GitHub, and you are more than welcome to poke through it. Like, be my guest, pull issues, do whatever you want. You could even just go ahead and do what you want. But I don't want you to bang your head against a wall saying, what is this guy doing, right? Until I've maybe put a test or two together myself as sort of a, hey, here's an example of what I'm trying to do. So that maybe, it's a cautionary go ahead. Does that make sense? I really appreciate any offers of help, but I really don't want anyone to put in a ton of effort and time into something that is maybe not as clear as it should be. So, grain of salt and all that. Yeah, I get it. So the other little thing, this library is on my GitHub, which you're more than welcome to look at, but I have not yet attached any license to it. So I believe technically that means the copyright by default is to me and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know what the correct way to do that is. Like, what I mean is, does it make sense for people to pull issues and even clone the thing without the license, or should I put some license on there? I don't know yet. So, if you have actual insight into that, you could let me know. I'm actually okay with you, you can clone it, you can look at it, you can try run all kinds of stuff if you want. Be wary. But I don't know yet how to approach the license thing. That's a whole other can of worms. It turns out there's a whole lot of stuff to think about when you're writing software. Who knew? Anyway, I'm hedging, I think. I think I should just be a little more comfortable with having my stuff out there. If it's not perfect and people are looking at it and trying to help, that's not a bad thing. So sincerely, that's really nice, and you can go right ahead, or you can wait until I've put out some examples. That is up to you entirely. Make sense? I think that makes sense. Okay. Where was I? Oh yeah, things aren't breaking, but the calculation of the midpoint is totally wacky if you translate first. That's what it is, right? If I comment this back, I should see, yeah, it's rotating kind of about 0, 0. It's a little bit off, but kind of okay. Okay, so this was not exactly correct. And what I think I need to do, let me just try this. Maybe that'll be, oh no, this has to be, let's go like this, global mx, global my. So here's another example of like, people are welcome to look and read through the code, but readability might be low too, because I'm a little inconsistent with short forms. I don't always choose variable names that are maybe as verbose as they should be, those sorts of things. So work to do for sure, but it's got to be done one day. So is also, I probably should set up a linter or something to run through the source code as well. So I can write the code however I want here, tangle it. Once it's tangled, anytime a file changes, it just lints it, and then runs the linted code and spits back mistakes and stuff so that I improve my code quality. That's probably a good idea too. Yeah, okay. What am I trying to do? I don't know that this will necessarily work. What I'm trying to do is calculate the group's original midpoint, translate the whole group to 0, 0, do its rotation, and then translate it all back to the original midpoint. So here, I translate it to that midpoint, but I don't know if this will work, but I think it might. Oh, also I do have to do here, before each child I want to do blah 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 blah, but here I have to translate it by negative gmx, negative gmy. Okay. Let's see how it goes. Let's get this back in there. Broken. Oh. Classic mistakes. Oh man, it's getting dark. Gotta hit up the old light switch. Ooh, did I break it? I might have broken it again. Now what? I think... Man, okay. I am running close to the end of my willingness to work on this, I think. Oh, I'm also commenting the wrong parts. Okay, we've got something on the screen, kinda. This will break it again, so let's do just the translate. Okay. Okay. Let's see what this looks like in the REPL. Bunch of problems. Okay. Alright, where did I go wrong here? Let's make this a little cleaner. Yeah. For child in moved content, M content is that partial translate over content should work, shouldn't it? I'll be right back. What can I do? Midpoint of this is destructured into these. GMX, GMY, minus this, minus that. Map that onto content, you get M content. Why isn't that working? Oh, it is. It's just a compilation sort of, or a state cache problem or something like that. Whoa, okay. Maybe that's a win right there. That's looking pretty good. Yo. Okay. 90 plus 20. 110. Yo. Okay. That's talking like some kind of gamer or something for no reason. Yo. Looking sick. Yo. All right. That was foolish. Okay. Okay, so that is looking quite promising. And now, for just a moment, I will pop this back into the source and try to render that again. See if there's any improvement on the real goal here. It's always the question. Yes, but actually no. What happened to all the color? Oh, yeah, that's because I have to put the style in there, of course. Well, I love it. This looks so ridiculous. It's fantastic. And this isn't even fixing that now. Okay, well, one little step at a time. I love the chaos of it. Just making an abstract art creator now. Man, so actually I have made... Well, that's always as a little side project in the back of my mind, to legitimately make this generative artwork with some of these tools. You're not wrong. Like this is kind of how you start making that stuff. I mean, I just kind of wish it weren't abstract in this context. Okay, but these are baby steps toward the progress I actually need. So that I'm gonna count as a nice little win. Put that in my back pocket. So it looks as if I fixed the semantics. Sorry, I keep saying semantics. I mean the behavior of group, rotate, translate, which is nice. That looks neat. I do need to now focus in on getting paths and polygons and that sort of thing working correctly. That's the next bit. And I think I can spend another about half hour chugging away at that before I have to get going, make some food, check some phone calls, that kind of thing. Yeah, so I could keep going. This is a brief tangent. This is called Blueberry Method just because The quilts that my mom designs, she has a blueberry motif is what she calls it. They're these little small little diamond motifs in all of her designs here, and she calls them blueberries as sort of a theme. Her company name is Blueberry Quilt Co. My parents have a cottage at a place called Blueberry Point, and so she's taken that all as sort of some theming and stuff like that. So that's why this particular section is Blueberry Method, because every instruction that we ever generate will have this bit in it here where you follow the same general steps for that motif. So that's why it's called that. Seems a little random, but it's related to her business. So the real question is, does your mother like blueberries? It would be ironic if she didn't. Oh, she loves blueberries. So at the cottage that we go to, it's called Blueberry Point in part because, well, one, it's just kind of a cutesy name, but two, there's tons of blueberry bushes all along that part near like it's a rocky shoreline and stuff, and you can go into the woods and there's just blueberries everywhere. So my mom and my sisters will go, well, and I've never done it, but all kinds of people do. We go and pick blueberries and get them in a little container and just eat them. They disappear very quickly because everybody loves blueberries. So so it's good for theming, it's good for naming cottage locations, and it's good for eating. Blueberries. It's a powerful fruit. Berry. Are berries fruits, botanically speaking? Or is berry a specific thing on its own? It doesn't matter. Alright, so rotate 0 means this thing's there. Is it true that if I just make a circle radius 2, translate it to 1010 just to mark a spot here. Whoops. That's a little too small. Good. I'm really picky about the size of the circle that I use as a dot. Okay, so okay, so rotate's happening around its base point there. Not bad. Does this go wonky when I do this? Okay, so that's not what I would expect, or not what I would hope for. Okay, so we need to revisit rotate element. Oops, I doubled up here. Oh, I also should produce the same. Oh no, that's not what I want to do. I want to do this. Okay, let's make this that. Oop. Nope. Currently, neither of these are working the way I want them to work. Although I guess I have to make I actually have to make kind of a complicated choice here for a minute. I'll explain what I mean in a second. Okay, there we go. I have the same test I want to complete here. These seem to be working. I'm just going to leave them there because they look nice. Okay, so a thing like a rectangle, since I give it a width and height, I can just have it center itself because the corners are not provided by the user. But in the case of a polygon, the points are provided by the user directly. So what I'm thinking about is, should I have the polygon thing take the user's points, calculate the midpoint of those points, and shift itself to its own midpoint so that it centers itself on 0, 0. Right? So instead of the points given being absolute coordinates, they would instead be relative coordinates from I don't know if that's a good idea or not though, right? It might break intuition. Well, for the time being, I don't have to worry about that. Let's assume that the way this blue one moves with a rotate first and then a translate, let's assume that that's working the way I want it to. I can address that problem later if I feel it necessary. This here now is what I need to solve, right? That is my particular problem. So what to do? Let's have a look at rotate element of a path, because path polygon creates a path element. Nice and straightforward. So what I have going on here right, it's centering itself around 0, 0. What if I this is just a temporary check. I'm doing, instead of centering 0, 0 and using that as a using that as the rotate around point, I'm using the position of its starting point like this, and I want to see, I think it will be wrong, but I want to see what it looks like. Oh, here's that call. I have to take a call. Okay, so not sure if anyone is still tuned in. Apologies for that. That was a call with my doctor, so I feel like talking with my doctor is a little more important than streaming, so it's a fair call, I think. The yeah, those tend to be a bit important. Yeah, totally. It's not like a life or death sort of thing, but I want to take care of myself, right? I'm not getting younger. We all just get older, and anyway, taking care of your health is an important thing. I do my best to stay fit, eat right, and it's important to, in Canada especially, take advantage of the healthcare we have, and treat yourself to intelligent people that can help you out. Anyway, it's also really handy. We're in a pandemic, right? But the ramping up of like phone appointments and whatnot has been quite fantastic. I've had actually more interaction with my doctor now than prior because I don't necessarily have to go into the office to get checkup there and all that. It's nice. Must be nice. Yeah. I think, Mike, you're in the US, right? Healthcare's a little different over there. Yeah. There are some nice perks to being in the true north, as it were. You know what, though? Everything has its pros and cons. I happen to really like Canada, and the healthcare and all that is a really nice way to set up a government and all that help and stuff like that. But I visit the U.S. from time to time, and it's a fun country, healthcare aside. Don't have universal healthcare. Bit of a bad business model for consumers. Yeah, I know it. And I have nothing positive to say. It's really unfortunate. Sorry, man. If I could make the world better across the board, I would. But that one's out of my control. That one is out of my control. Okay, so now that I don't have a call, it's fine. I'll just move to Canada one day. Fair enough. If you can swing it, there's enough room here. I laugh. I have to laugh at like the population density of Canada compared to just like the state of New York or the state of California. It's hilarious to me how crazy populous the different states of the U.S. are in comparison to the entire country of Canada. So space is not going to be the concern. I wonder if I get the opportunity in the near future, what country I would move to. I'm kind of thinking like it'd be fun to live in Australia for a bit, maybe New Zealand, maybe Singapore, maybe Germany, maybe Japan. But I'm not a smart enough person to learn all those languages and things in one go. I'd have to kind of pace myself. Okay, almost time to go. Let's see if I can get sort out one thing a little bit nicer here. What was it that I changed before that call came in? I don't remember. It was what? This is what it was. And I don't think I tested that yet. I don't think I refreshed that to see what would happen. I expect it to not work. Okay. Oh. have to do first of points, because paths is a map. Oh. Well, maybe I stumbled upon the right answer. Let's see. Okay, we have in here that's looking pretty good, I must say. That's not too shabby. Okay, so I do have them working off the same point now. Let's see what that makes this look like. I don't think that that's actually solving all of the. I think there's more than one problem happening here. Well, I mean, obviously there's something wrong here, but okay. Okay, here. Let's see if this fixes it again. I don't know that it will. I also don't, I mean, this isn't an actual solution, right? It just indicates part of the problem, and it didn't even change it this time, so that's, oh, changing the wrong one. Here. Nope. Maybe if I'm closer. Nope. Wow, things are wild. That is way weirder than I even thought it would be. Why on earth is it like that? Let's see. What is a good thing to test here? Oh, wait a second. Okay, I realize. Forget that noise. Now is time to set up the next little bit of test here, and that is, let's hide that, bring this back into play. Okay, now I am gonna overwrite those. So these I was just testing just a single polygon, right? I wasn't, man, I get myself so confused already. It'll be so nice when this is all nice and organized and labeled and everything. Ooh, I look forward to that. What time is it here? Boy, longer stream today for me. Kind of like that. I kind of like it. I'm a little curious if I intentionally just go a little bit longer, if there's maybe any new folks that can stumble in, you know, who might not normally get to tune in. Maybe that's a good idea. I'm thinking out loud here. Okay, next thing to build as a test. I'll go ahead and just get rid of this because I don't need it right now. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Oh, I indented things weird, but that's okay. Sure, there will be a new audience that shows up based on different time zones and stuff. Yeah, it's one thought that, so I've been kind of poking around in other Twitch streams just to kind of get ideas about things I can change, you know, things I can improve and whatnot. And oh, I deleted something important. Of course I did. Oh, what was I saying about? Oh, right. Of course, I deleted the whole thing right up here. That's silly of me. I don't remember where I was going with that. I've been poking around other streams and stuff. Oh yeah, it was this. And I noticed, like, I mean, a lot of the streams that end up on the browse page and things like that, they get double or more interaction than mine does, right? And I don't know that it's just timing. I have no idea, but that's another variable that I can test, right? So might be important. I waffle between thinking about that kind of stuff a whole lot and worrying about it, and then maybe not worrying about it enough. Okay, circle just marks the pivot point. That's fine. Here I'm gonna make a group now, svg/g. You know, before I add to the group, okay, that's promising. Let's do the same here, svg group. Okay, promising. In both cases, the rotate seemed to work just fine. Let's step in the right direction, I think. Yeah. Promising, promising. Okay, so now let's just add to that. What's a cool shape here? Can make a Clojure script app that displays metrics for which channels have the most viewers, games and content they're making. What's one more project? Oh man. Well, so I mean, that's actually kind of an interesting idea. I think I'm going to back burner that idea, though, for the time being. Because, in part, there's a few things I could tell you right out of the gate that I do know, just from simple observation. One, playing games gets more views on average than writing code. Code's pretty niche in comparison. Not a problem, but I think that's a reasonably accurate thing to say. Two, when it comes to games, being variety, I think, takes a lot more work and time to get to. Being specialty, you can't break into a game that's already popular, really, unless it's maybe like Minecraft. Otherwise, you kind of have to go genre specific or find some new indie game and bank on it becoming a popular thing to watch. Or do the speedrun approach where you get really, really good at 1 to 2, maybe 3 games and just play that constantly. Again, that's a pretty niche thing. But I think the fact that I do programming primarily is a bit of a permanent like damper on the total volume of viewership I can get. So I don't necessarily need to know all kinds of crazy metrics to have reasonable estimations. But the project idea is actually pretty neat, regardless of what I would actually learn from the metrics side of it. But I do have to finish some things. You're right, what's one more project? But what's one more project that's unfinished is just more bad habits of not finishing things. It's a struggle, so I want to finish things, you know? It's important. It's what makes you money, lets you survive, all that good stuff. I do think a good strategy for me is to for the tiny little weekend side projects that I have done and do want to do, turn those into like decently polished YouTube videos and start posting YouTube videos that are not just stream highlights or anything like that, but are like original content. Kind of build that up and then start cross connecting the Twitch and that YouTube and stuff like that. That might be a reasonable strategy. It could also lead to more people tuning into some of the stuff I do, and it might be fun as well. Those are all nice little things. Okay, so I just need to add another polygon to this group and draw it cooler. What if I just invert it? Very weird. Okay, what does it look like on its own? Oh, wait a second, I have to let's draw, what do I draw? 5 0 10 5. That's a weird shape. I like it. Perfect. Sure, that's good. Okay, I can work with that. Now, oh wait a second. Maybe that's not a great idea. Let's do something like this, where I svg / rotate it 45 degrees for kicks, just for kicks. Nothing makes sense anymore. Okay, well, let's just use that as a test shape. It's already broken. I might not have time to handle that today. Right, so this is not, I don't believe it's the shape I drew. Well, now I'm second guessing myself. Oh, that's... Whoa, okay. Ah, okay. Stuff's all wrong. Oh man, okay. I must confess I have no idea what's going on. Well, so there is one thing. It looks like, given a group with multiple paths in it, something is wrong or more complicated than I thought with how it's calculating midpoint, midpoints for the group as a whole, right? What I mean by that is, if I have rotate at 0, the shapes are pretty much lined up in a way that makes sense, reasonably, kind of. They kind of make sense together. If I take the rotate away, yeah, okay. So rotate 0, that's the base shape. I think they're I think they're not at like lining up exactly because of how I'm doing the midpoint calculation, but it's sort of, let's say it's sort of lined up. What I mean, you know, stuff goes wrong when I rotate this. The two shapes are both in an unintuitive way, they're both traveling away from each other like that. That's not what I expect. I expect this triangle to not move at all when I only rotate this quad shape here, but that is clearly not what's happening. I also get really weird visual or just completely wrong shapes when I go at any multiple of 45. No. I also get weird shapes sometimes, and I don't currently know why. Let's just put it that way. So, okay, no, it's distorting the shape, and it's pivoting incorrectly around some weird midpoint. So there's a lot of stuff going wrong here, which is great, because it means I have a lot of stuff to solve, which is it's gonna be fun. I mean that sincerely. Like it's a little frustrating, but I'm making little chips towards progress. And once this works, this library will be one step closer to good functionality. I'm happy about that. Okay. 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 This is the wrong thing. I'm supposed to be looking at this. So this had an effect of some kind where it I don't think this is the right solution because oh, I should have tested a few more things with the just the polygon. I think this is a flawed assumption that it'll always be pivoting around the first point you give it. Yeah, you know what, I am gonna kind of move on from that for now. Actually, do little notes here. This is very buggy. It's got all sorts of problems, including what do I call that? Like, including mangling shapes at including mangling shapes as you change the angle of rotation. Idea set center C as first of, did I copy it? Nope, that's fine. First of points of first paths. This is the first point that the user specifies when creating a path. Might not be correct, but did seem to fix rotation for applied directly to polygon or to path polygon data. There we go. Keeping notes for myself right at the code. It's not a bad thing. Oh, the one, so this isn't perfect because now this here is all nested under this, which is not what I wanted. You know what, I will just do this instead. That's fine. Okay. Okay. So I changed here. The center is now the bounding box center of all of the points from all of the paths. Not sure if that's going to work. Bring this back to 0. Oh boy, fun stuff. Incorrect stuff. What does the blue one look like? Okay, so this is some kind of, call it a base case. This is exhibiting behavior that makes a little bit of sense. It's not perfect by any stretch, but this triangle's in the right spot. And this is rotated 45 degrees. If I rotate it 0, there we go. Okay, this really is what should be happening. So we've got the order dependence problem. Ooh, did you see that? This rotated about the center point of this weird conglomerate thing. Okay, so you know, there's a little bit of proof. Oh, it's not totally perfect, but there's a little bit of proof that it's kind of, I can get there. See, this is now, it's moving things that shouldn't move, but it's not appearing to cause glitches in terms of points being all over the place. This is gonna be this. I'm recognizing I'm gonna have to go into some deep thought to actually solve this properly. Oh, here we are. So we get glitches anyway here. So there's a problem where when you're kind of stacking rotates and stuff like that. So there's definitely some work to get to the bottom of this. And you know what? I'm going to give myself 10 minutes to theorize a little bit, poke around at a change here and there, but that'll probably be it. This is one of my longer streams, and I'm starting to get hungry, so I'm just going to have to call it soon. I'll give myself 10 minutes. That seems good to me. Okay, so I do wonder if it's possible that I have to do a similar set of transforms to the original center point on a per path basis. You know what? Let me write out some ideas here. Well, algorithm, I use that word loosely, but so to rotate a path about its own center point, let's assume the path is in some spot. You calculate the midpoint of a path. If I wonder if this doesn't even work. Let's try 0 0 10 0 10 10. Okay, so the midpoint calculation of path polygon uses actual midpoint, not bounding box center, but here I'm using bounding box center. So I goofed a little bit. There's an inconsistency there, so let me fix that. And I'm talking about this here. F/midpoint of all of the points is different than if I do oh, wrong namespace. Bounding box center 2D of points. This is going to be this I think is going to return 2 5. Oh, 5 5. Oh yeah, right, because it's 10 10. Yeah. Right, so the bounding box center of this particular triangle is here, but the true midpoint in terms of, like, if you had to balance it on your finger, the midpoint is physically, like, it's kind of here-ish. So those are different, and I'm not being consistent with what I calculate. In fact, I kind of want this to be BB center 2D. So let's start with that. So I updated how the midpoint's calculated. Maybe that'll change how this works a little bit. I don't expect it to actually solve this problem, but it's something to chipping away at consistency issues, right? That's the name of the game here. It's promising. Okay, that solved the big issue. Nope, still there. So this now, strangely, is interesting. I love it. So, what's happening? Okay, still problems, but working towards a better solution. Let's make sure this 5 5 is the same as this 5 5. Yep. Okay, so that's changed. The midpoint there is theoretically better now. Okay, now back to rotate for a second. Rotate element, path. Get the points that make up the path. Calculate the bounding box center of these points. Translate 2, 0, 0 by using the negative values of the bounding box center. Apply rotation by calculating new position of all points. Use rotate point. Translate new points to original location by translating to bounding box center. That would, in theory, work, I believe. Which is pretty much a lot of the approach I was using for everything else, so it's worth a shot. So a nice little thing to do here is just keep the old method, comment it out up there, and hack away at this one. At this point, can't I just... I also don't need to do it this way. Right, let's do... let's do it this way, GMX, GMY, just like I did with the groups. Is just the midpoint calculation of K props then paths is map path string to path over all the path strings. Path to points. Actually, what I could do is this. Oops. And props is just translate negative GMX negative GMY K props, which will return a new path And I can just take m props and do path strings, m props, paths is this. I should probably consolidate this with like a thread macro or something, but for now I'm going to leave it. Then new paths is this whole bit here. New props is rotate around 0, 0. Oh wait, sorry, let me just do rotate point. Oh, degree, which assumes it'll be rotated around 0, 0. Then x points is map the transform over the points of the path. You know what, let's rewrite this for a second just to make this part a little clearer. X points, yeah, x points is thread last path, no, let's do it this way. Points from the path, you have to map xf. You know what, I can just do this, map partial rotate point degree onto the path points, and then map, oh, you don't need to map it, you just need to svg slash move point. If I move a point 1, 1, 0, negative 1, yeah, okay. Let's hope that this runs, and let's hope that it's along the lines of the right solution. I'm not sure that it is, but it's worth a shot. Okay. So what I've done here, before I do any rotation of a path, I calculate its midpoint, which is its bounding box center in this case. I translate everything here. I translate the whole thing to 0, 0. Then I break its path string into its path parts and rotate it and then move it back to its original spot, and that's what these are. So I rotate it here, which is rotating about 0, 0, and then I move that path back to its original spot, and I do that for every path in the path element, because it can be multiple paths. And I think that might actually make some sense. We will find out if I broke it or if it works. Seems to be not broken yet, which is a step in the right direction. Okay. Promising. Promising. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that so far. Let's... Nope, still wrong. Shoot, I was close. I could feel it. Stuff goes weird around even or like 90-degree increments. For some reason, I don't know why. And 45 goes super weird. Okay, so that seems to be unrelated, at least a little bit, to wow. Oh, you know what? I've still got this particular problem. Let's match this. Okay. Well, let's do a nice easy rotate. Start with that 20. Let's rotate this 20. Okay, so it's kind of working. I'm getting a lot closer. So let me check this here for a minute. I would like to see how this appears. Okay, still way wrong. Even, holy crap, that's awful. It's a total mess. Okay, still looks very cool. Yeah, I should screenshot this, you know? Submit it to like a generative art Instagram or something. No, that's not solving. It's not a magic bullet. Yeah, no. Good try, but no luck. What if I make him like a degree off? Wow. Okay. You know what? This is a sit down and really think it through kind of problem, and I'm in need of some food before I tackle it. What is nice is well, no, never mind. There's still issues with this. Okay, that's going to be it for today. It's almost 6 o'clock. Wow, longer stream for me. I'm okay with that. I don't know that the progress I made is as clear as I had hoped. But you know, that's the way it's gonna go for the day, and I'll get through this. Just a matter of putting in the effort, so nothing wrong with that. Thanks, Mike, for tuning in. If there's anyone else watching live now, thanks for that. I do appreciate it. Anyone tuning in after the fact or on a VOD, thanks for that too. Appreciate it all. If anyone can, you know, do the like, comment, subscribe, all that normal jazz, but everyone's heard that plenty of times, so I won't ask again today. Yep, that's all I've got. Have a good day. Mike, take it easy. Anyone else, take it easy too. I will be back. It is Tuesday, right? Yeah, so I'll be working hard tomorrow, no streaming tomorrow, and I'll be streaming again Thursday and streaming Friday. That's it. Have a good night.